kind of split into three groups. One group's trying to get more staking pools to get back to us with an update. Another group uh, is looking at doing further due diligence and kind of outlining that, and there is an update there that I'll point you guys to. And then number three is putting evaluations that we have done on the website. So Derek and I are working on the new staking pools that are getting back to us. I've messaged quite a few. I think I messaged 3 or 4. Some of them claim to have submitted, but as of the latest update from Limboshi, they were not. Their answers were not there, and I told them that. So I don't know if they submitted at the last week of December or whatnot. So we'll get that updated in order to see if those answers came in. But I think we've gotten one answer, new answer to come in. That's my update there. So James, do you want to? Yeah, sorry, Superfizz.
Hey, can you be sure to add Ether Chest to that list of follow-ups? He's reached out to me a couple times, and I just want to make sure that we give him a fair shake on that.
Yeah, I haven't actually reached back out to Ether Chest, so I'm glad you brought that up. It's good. Awesome. So Ether Chest is marked. Next topic would be the further due diligence update. James, do you want to, or James and Philip, do you guys want to kind of quickly update that? I saw that Philip, you posted a Google document that I have pulled up, and if you guys want to find it, it's on the staking pool evaluation channel, and it goes over some of the parameters we can look at when evaluating the different questions for our due diligence evaluation questionnaire.
Yeah, so I just got back yesterday to my battle station, so I just wrote down some ideas how to further make a due diligence on all the different kind of staking pools. So this hasn't been a coordinated effort so far. Yeah, this is just my idea what we could look at for further making due diligence on the staking pools, and just looking from the opposite side, and not basically just evaluating their answers, but just making our own due diligence and trying to figure out whether that actually is true what they're providing as answers. Yeah, and so far I have started with blocks staking, but yeah, I'm just 1/3 in, and it takes quite some time. So I don't know. This is not something that will be finished within 1 or 2 weeks. So I can do one per week myself, and then I would even say that at least another person should cross-check that. So the idea is that for each aspect that is evaluated, there should be references. So that at the end of the day, we end up with a document where we have something to show up, where we can reference. Okay, that's why we say this is good or not. So that's basically the idea behind that.
Yeah, this is great. I've taken a look at questions. Those questions are super awesome, and I love to help out. So given that the progress is quite slow, I think it will be really helpful that more people to help on this end.
Yeah, absolutely. It just was my idea how to look at this problem. Yeah, so far, as I said, there was no coordination between others within the committee.
Yep,
but it's totally open for that.
Yeah, and it was the holidays, and James, I remember that you had volunteered with Philip. Are you still down to kind of go through that with Philip,
Yep.
in order you guys tag team it?
Yeah, absolutely. I can start to dedicate a lot more time to this. I was kind of off the grid over the holidays, so I haven't really done anything substantive since the last time we spoke. But I think Phil's made some great progress here. I don't disagree with anything he's put forward, and I think this is something that we can build on over time. And yeah, looking forward to digging into it.
Awesome. So, do you guys want to move on to the next topic, or do you want to discuss some of the details of this technical due diligence report, especially the framework? One thing that I thought, I think does deserve discussion, whether it be like we love it or whether it be like, this is, we might want to change the coding, is the color code itself. And you can find that at the bottom of, I think it's page 2. Yeah, the bottom of page 2.
Yeah, so the color coding for this was just arbitrary. So I just more or less I just wanted to have something for myself that then I know what part I already covered and what still need to be cross-checked or what might be a red flag. Yeah, just there was nothing. There were no deep thoughts involved into the color code for that.
Yeah, you weren't trying to like mesh it with the color code we've done for the
yeah, some sort, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then maybe it definitely makes sense for a first pass, and then it'd be really great if it can kind of fit within the framework that we've all, you're expanding upon the framework, and obviously, through your research, the color codes might end up changing because of your research, and you'll talk about that as we go through them in more detail. Like we'll go through blocks, we'll go through the others in more detail. But it would be great if also, once we get to that stage, the color code is kind of meshed with the current framework from the existing kind of Google sheet that we used. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Agree.
So, do you guys want to? I mean, what I'd suggest is that we, this might be the first time that a lot of people have seen this document. What I'd suggest is we go over like the next detail, the next layer. So blocks, for example, has some more details given to it. I'd suggest we review those on our own time, and then next week we will review if there are 2 or 3 of these that are now here. We'll review those 2 or 3. Or if there's only one, we'll just review that one. What do you guys think about that? Or do you want to go over it now? I'm taking silence as affirmation. All right.
So for myself, I would rather discuss this specific for block staking or for a particular staking pool when the part is done, because this is just for block staking. This is work in progress, and I mean, it could talk about some points which came up, but that is I guess it's fair to say that we should get the whole picture before we start putting that into the other document.
Phil, was there anything when you were going through block staking that you found particularly difficult to track down? Like just in terms of looking forward, are there items on this list that on your early experience you would say might take a bit longer than others?
Yeah. So one point is that they're kind of pursuing this idea of having this decentralized staking pool with SSV, and they're kind of trying to start off with this remote signer setup and then go from there. I mean, I'm not quite sure because their documentation on the website is not really clear how the migration path looks like. And it's also not quite clear how their end solution looks like. I know that they had a talk, I guess, within the SSV group, but I need to review that. Just this. And on the documentation on the website, it kind of points out where they're heading to, but it's not really that detailed so far, and that makes it more difficult. But on the other hand, what we're evaluating for the spreadsheet right now is the remote signer, and so there's also difficult to separate all this different kind of aspects, because right now we're just evaluating the remote sign setup, but a lot of documentation on the website is already including this idea of this decentralized staking pool. Yeah, and then gets a little bit messy there. That's the main point I would say is more difficult for block staking. Might be easier for others, but yeah, that's what and that is also why I stopped today doing that, because a lot of other family stuff came up and it just was distracted. Yeah, but that's my point.
All right. Yeah, that makes complete sense. So I think we're good on this topic. Does anyone disagree? We'll revisit. We'll go over them once blocks is finished, and if any others are finished, we'll go through them. I highly encourage. So, Phil, whenever you do finish one, and you did this great, you ping the channel saying, "Hey, check out the work I've done," and I read through it before the meeting. And so you just feel free, even if you want, tag everyone, because I think this is really important. It'll go a lot cleaner and more efficient if people read these documents before we actually discuss them in a meeting. So if you want to ping at everyone whenever you're finished with that, and so, prior to the next meeting, we'll read through it, and then we'll all be on the same page. I think that will be, really good for our process.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, makes sense.
Awesome. So now, the last main topic is putting evaluations that we've done on the website. And Michael, I think you were going to give a quick update on that, right?
Yeah, I guess I wanted to take a poll. I'm compiling the existing evaluations now for the site, and I should have that probably by the weekend, really. So I could probably present or demo something by next Wednesday's meeting, if that's fine by everybody. Cool.
Awesome.
How do we want to do? I did have one question. It's a little, to put it nicely, it's a little boring of a site because it's all like text based. Do we want to have some sort of like introduction video in terms of introducing who we are as the EDDC, what our goals are, and just generally introducing the organization? Or do we think that's overkill for what this is? Personally, I think there's some value in establishing our, I guess, credentials, if you will, as a committee to even vet these things, so we're not just a group of guys just sort of picking on people. I think there's something in that. Go ahead, Fez.
I was saying I think it's good to get that. I don't want to call it a promotional video, but sort of a who we are, like you say, because we're not affiliated with one of the major pools. We're not a product of some company that is pushing information.
Oh.
I think you lagged out there a little bit.
I was saying, I think I lagged out. When we show our faces on screen and say, here I am, I'm a contributing member of the community, and I'm putting this information out there with other people that I trust, then, and not just me, but I'm saying when we all kind of share that message, it does lend credibility to what we're doing. And I think it gives rational credibility and not too much or too little. It's just people can take us at face value or they don't have to.
I'll throw in a comment. I think that's exactly right, but I'll add a different perspective that supports the exact same conclusion. We're humans, and humans need a little context and a little big picture to get their brain in the right angle so they can go into detail. And this site is going to be rich in textual detail and tables, which I think are great. Comparative staking pool evaluation is going to be thick in data, but without context, you are missing. For most sapiens, we just don't come to that well. So I think it's just a different way of saying the same thing. We need the big picture before we can get the detail. Or for some of our audience, the least geeky of our audience, particularly.
Yep.
Those are people using pools who have half an ETH or an ETH.
100% agree with all three comments that were said. You know, is everyone okay with us creating a video to put on the website to make it a little bit more easier to digest?
Okay, cool.
Awesome. So, you know, I'm obviously, you know, the way that I'm thinking about it could be different than the way you're thinking about it, but we could approach this in a couple different ways. We could have someone write a script and delegate the lines from that script to different members of the committee who join. You know, maybe target like 2 to 3 minutes, target 1 to 2 minutes, whatever, you know, not too long is what I'm saying. And then we can go through and record that script at next week's meeting. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is we kind of free ball it at next week's meeting and just kind of go through one by one. What does the EDDC mean to each one of us as individuals? And it's like, you know, we answer that question in that sort of format. So those are just two ideas I had that off the top of my head. If everyone else has other ideas, you know, feel free to share them.
Thinking what we do is I kind of meet you in the middle there a little bit. Maybe for the next meeting today and tomorrow, I'll compile and share a Google Doc of just a rough outline of what we want to achieve with this video, answering the correct questions. And then maybe we delegate a person or two as sort of the official, unofficial spokesperson for the EDDC, just outlining a single person so it's easy to focus on video. And then maybe we can kind of cut to in just like a 20-30 second introduction of core members that are contributing, roles, things like that. Just an idea.
Yep. So it sounds like, just so I understood it, it's about like maybe 50% is one person kind of going over everything, or maybe even 60-75%, and the last 25% or 50% is split between multiple different members, kind of saying a little piece here and there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's how I would do it. Just kind of keep it simple, and that way there's less moving parts, coordinating people, and potentially going off the rails in terms of scope of script.
Yep. Superfizz.
I'm not opposed to Michael's idea, but I would like to offer a different perspective. That I did appreciate your second idea, which was the contributing members just go in a round robin and say, this is who I am, this is why I'm doing this. I do believe that Michael's might appear more polished, but if the ultimate goal is really to achieve buy-in, then I think that we'll have better buy-in by just doing a round robin. Of people saying, this is why I'm contributing. So the question is, do we want polished product, or do we want intellectual and emotional buy-in? And that's the balance that I see.
I'm fine with either, honestly.
Other perspectives? Michael?
Oh, I was just saying I'm fine with either. Whatever we decide with, I'm good with.
I think we should definitely vote just real quickly here, just to figure out the sentiment between these two ideas. So we've got one idea, which is, as Michael said, it's going to be probably about 75% of the video I would posit would be driven by one person. It would be probably a little bit cleaner because, switching between people might be difficult. And then the last 25% would be kind of individual members kind of giving their 2 cents here and there. And then we have Superfizz's idea, which is to do the round robin of saying, hey, this is who I am, this is why I'm here. And then maybe, this is what Eat Staker's about to me. Eat Due Diligence Committee is about to me. But that's what, those are the two options. So, who is for the kind of round robin idea?
Yeah, I could.
All right.
Yeah, we can do that. That's fine.
Doesn't have to be consensus. It's okay if it's not consensus. It seemed, at least at the beginning, it was 4 people. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I'm totally on the fence on this, so I'm useless in this area.
I don't have a strong opinion. I think either one would work good. I think we need to provide some context. Having said that, I'm happy to put an opinion in, but I just want to be clear. You introduced kind of an option A and then an option B, and then when you asked if we favored it, you didn't call it A or B. You called it round robin, which I think is B. And I was getting a little lost thinking we're voting on first on A. So just, if you don't mind, reframe it, and we're ready to, or at least I'm ready to go now. and I wasn't before.
Yeah, that's
because I
my
got
bad. That's
twisted
my
in that.
bad. So I will call. The idea that Superfizz posed would be the round robin idea, and we'll call that option A for now. And then the idea that Michael I'll call it the 75-25 option, and that would be option B. So if you're for option A, which is the round robin idea that Superfizz proposed, please raise your hand. All right. Looks like there's consensus there. So at this point, if it's going to be a round robin, do we need to come up with any scripts, or I still like Michael's idea of there's like a few guiding questions that he'll write up as an outline, and then each one of us will answer those questions of what it means to us. Now, it'll be very important, because if each one of us are speaking, we should really probably be targeting, 15 seconds at max, right? Especially, 15 seconds with 6 people. I think that would be, we could probably do a little bit more, but if we have more members join next week, we definitely don't want it to be, more than 15 seconds. So I would work on something between like 15 to 25 seconds once Michael gets that outline out. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah, the outline is points, and there probably can't be more than 2 points if we're going to be done in 10 or 15 seconds. It's kind of like
Yep.
who you are and why you're here, or maybe role. So we got role. We certainly have role differences. I'm not participating real hard in the staking pool thing. I don't. If you don't mind, I'd like a conversation at the end with Superfizz and Madison, and at least, but anybody's welcome to stay. And it has to do a little bit with some of this strategic and even who is in that video, for example. But I don't mean to derail. Just if it's okay, stay on the phone, and we'll do it at the end. 5 minutes.
You're talking about the end of this meeting, is that correct?
The end of this meeting, if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Don't mind at all. And that was actually, hey, Michael, is there anything else you want to discuss about putting evaluations or any other pieces on the website?
Nope, that should do it. I'll get going on that outline, and we'll just go from there.
Awesome. So that adjourns unless anyone else has something they want to bring up. Besides Kirk, it's that adjourns our main business today. And if no one has anything pertaining to what we talked about earlier, we'll move right into Kirk's new item. Awesome. Kirk, you have the floor.
Well, it was just to have a candid conversation. I personally am really, really impressed with the depth of this group and where everybody came from. I'm so glad James and Phil joined recently. And it looks to me like James, Phil, and Terrence are being most willing to go down deep in the staking pools. But I was also impressed. It's just a different impression with the people who kind of put their hand up right at the beginning. And I'm just looking at the list here on my left. A number of the people, obviously there were holidays, so it's hard to kind of place that. And some people man, I thought it was awesome when Jim from Attestance put his hand up, and I think Collins added a lot. I think I had something to do with getting Colin in, but Patricio at least was clear on he really didn't think he was going to do much in the details. So I think if Patricio's not here, that's fine, because he sort of said that, and I've sort of said that. So I'm kind of even wondering whether I should be in the context, because I'm not doing work on the specific staking pool evaluations. But I wanted contextually to say, well, what about some of the other folks who were here? So we got James from, not this James, but James, Jim McDonald, isn't it? James McDonald. What's the fellow at, I always call him JGM. Mm-hmm. Is it McDonald? Okay. And who else am I missing? But there were several other people. Oh, well, Lemboshi and others. And it's just like, if you're going to do a staking pool evaluation, which is based on hey, we've got some of the smartest people in the room, then you want to be sure you don't lose some of those that were there. You want to bring them in. And maybe what I'm trying to suggest, Superfizz and to Madison, is we want to make the implicit explicit. I like to say that all the time. Is JGM want to be a part of this? Does Lambosh want to be a part of this? Then even if they're too busy to come to a meeting, they may want to be a part of that
So
content video we put together. So we need to kind of have a reevaluation of who's here and what role do they want to have, even of those who may not have been able to come to 2 or 3 meetings. And that's actually separate from my overarching concern, which is how do we make this sustainable long term? So that's what I wanted to bring up. Other people share thoughts based on what I have thrown out.
Yep. I briefly talked to Limboshi over the break. He did say that he had some like holiday things going on, but that he was going to join us starting in the new year. Obviously, he's not here right now. But you know, I'll reach out, and I'm sure Superfizz, you can also reach back out to him, and you know, to gauge, you know, what's the interest in kind of continuing on, or you know, contributing on a consistent basis. I think we should do the same as you said with Jim.
And I just realized that Torsten, I didn't mention him. He was awesome.
Who is this?
Torsten. He was making awesome contributions right at the beginning and working really hard. And Derek made some pretty good, and I've talked to Derek privately. So it just, we need to think about that whole crowd. And it's okay if they said they're too busy. It's a volunteer gig. I get that. So not trying to ask anybody to do what they can't do, but trying to be aware. We as a committee ought to be explicit about it, is my argument.
So I think the idea, the question is, do we have a formal list of community members, or are we kind of a rolling group of whoever shows up? And so personally, I definitely agree. I love so many of the interesting and intelligent people who have been here in the past, but it does appear to be a rolling thing. I would like to maybe find a way to maybe either find out what the scheduling conflicts are, or find out what we can do to help people feel more welcome. I know with Lamboshi, it's a time zone kind of thing, where it's still much of his sleeping time, but yeah, I would love for us to be almost a named formal group rather than a cycling through whoever shows up kind of thing.
So, you know, based on those conversations, do we want to have someone who goes out, who's, you know, I'm doing, you know, the trying to get more staking pools in. Michael's trying to push things to the website. You know, Phil and James are trying to go a little bit deeper on the diligence. Do we want to, you know, would someone want to volunteer about reaching out to those members who might have dropped out in the past and saying, hey, you know, we really appreciate your contributions early on. You know, we've come a long way. Here's an update of where we are. We would love to see you back, you know, in the future.
That's something that I'm willing to take. I have resisted getting deeply involved in the evaluations, but I can be the attendance contact encourager person.
And I will help with that, Superfizz, so that you're both doing it. In other words, some of the people who contacted, like JGM, you were the primary contact. Several of these people were, but others were, I think I did call in and so on. So my point was I'm helpful to help and be an encourager to say things about what I thought about their contributions, because I think it's encouraging, but they kind of got to spend a few minutes looking at where we are to be able to be part of what we're thinking of doing next week. And I didn't want them to fall off the plate just because they're not here next week without some effort. And that's where I'm trying to come from. What I call make the implicit explicit. Don't just let it happen. Get it on the table.
Yeah,
I would also just add that we should probably start to put some thought into how we can be inclusive of people who may not be able to make this call, just being sort of a global community, and having sort of a fixed time call, like where it's already been mentioned that certain people struggle with time zones. And we don't want someone to drop off just because they happen to be in a time zone where like this all hands on deck call doesn't work for them. And so, you know, there might be ways for them to work one-on-one with members who are on the call and still make meaningful contributions throughout the week. And so I think we should just keep putting some thought into that rather than being too fixated on this call as such.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, you know, if everyone's okay with it, Superfizz and Kirk, when you reach out to those members individually, you can bring up that exact point that James made and said, hey, you know, if we can't find a better time for the call and for you to make it, we'd love that, but we completely understand if you can't do the call. What about like a 30-minute or a 15-minute catch-up every week with one of our existing members in order to kind of get you up to speed? And also you can be joining on and doing kind of the working group kind of things like further due diligence, reaching out to new staking pools, and helping Michael put things on the website. What do you think about that?
Yep.
Yeah, makes good sense.
Awesome. Kirk, is there anything else you want to say on this topic?
No, that's what I want to get on the table, and I'm super appreciate everybody entering into chatting about it a bit. And like I said, I super appreciate what Phil and James and Terrence are doing to kind of get their hands around staking pools. I'm not doing it, and I recused from that for various reasons. But loving what you're doing. It's just we also have to be thinking about this because it also is quite relevant to whether we have a long-term future or whether we're just a flash in the pan that came and did an evaluation and threw something out in the first quarter after ETH2 went, Beacon Chain went live on mainnet. So I think we really still have to have that discussion, but there's been only a few of us who've done it. Torsten was interested in that discussion for us, so he's probably just busy right now, but anyway, we'll reach out.
I sincerely appreciate you sharing that perspective about whether we are a flash in the pan or a long-term group. I think it's so important that if we've put this much energy into it, that we continue to develop it. So thank you.
100% agree.
Yep.
Another point that I want to bring up, I think we've gotten a little bit, we've lost track of recording you tell me, are all the meetings still being recorded, or are there's yes, it is. Perfect. That's great. And then, Terrence, I know, for some reason it got dumped on you to do the notes. Are there still notes being taken during the meetings? And if not, that's fine. We'll just figure out a system for it.
Yeah. I'm still taking notes. I just haven't really had the time to publish it, so I will do that.
Perfect. And by the way, Terrence, that I know taking notes is, that is work during the meeting, especially if you want to participate. So if you want to tap out, and you can just DM me even if you want to do that. I can try to find someone else as well.
Yeah, sounds good. No worries.
Awesome. Anyone else have anything they want to talk about? Awesome. Well, thanks for coming, guys. Happy New Year. Looking forward to the next one.
All right. Happy New Year.